He was also known as the man who broke the Bank of England because in 1992 he actually bet against the Bank of England during the period of time when the UK was joining the ERM. And so he shorted the British pound and he was correct, won. And in a single day he made $1 billion and went down into history as a trading legend. I think what makes him so brilliant is just how contrarian he is and how philosophical he is in terms of his approach to finance, trading, investing, and also asset management. And every single move that he pulls off is just so well orchestrated, so well philosophized, that it's just an art really to witness in comparison to many of the traders and investors today who really are just acting on frenzy and quite senseless at times. He truly is a master and an artisan really, and very few great investors like him still alive today. So George Soros is really a brilliant man. I think first and foremost, Soros is a philosopher. He spent most of his life really learning philosophy. I believe he has a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD in philosophy. So it really is quite a surprise that he didn't actually become a philosopher, but instead he went into the world of finance. But whatever his reasons, he certainly took these philosophical underpinnings into the world of finance because he can see it shape his view of finance. For example, in his book, The Alchemy of Finance, which was published in the 1980s, which is a great book, by the way, you should read it if you're interested in finance, he coins this term of reflexivity, which is really an idea that I believe is from sociology and also philosophy. But through reflexivity and his concept of reflexivity, he challenges the notions of classical economics, the idea of a rational expectation theory and also efficient market hypothesis, the idea that prices move towards equilibrium, being very reflective ultimately through time of the fundamentals. And Soros challenges that. He says in practice that doesn't actually happen, that prices generally are reflexive, that what actually influences prices is actually perception, and what influences perception is actually price. So what happens when people trade and invest is they actually elevate the perception, which elevates the price, which elevates the perception, which creates positive feedback loop. And this loop gets bigger and bigger as it goes around again in the loop with more people actually investing and trading into it. But as it grows bigger and bigger, it starts to move towards this equilibrium because it gets more detached from reality, and eventually, imminently, they go bust. And Soros says that most asset classes that are being traded and invested, they have reflexive dynamics, which is why we see in most modern economies these cycles of booms and busts. And he's proven largely correct. So we've seen in history, even recent times, these insane busts that we've seen. For example, the most recent one being the housing subprime mortgage crisis that we saw. And even recently with cryptocurrencies, which have been insane, we've seen that very, very rapidly happening. So with reflexivity, Soros is actually challenging these economists and these financiers and actually arguing that the market is highly irrational, and if we can understand the reflexive dynamics and combine that with technical skills, then we can know how to exploit these booms and knows how to avoid these busts and know when to actually pull out. And really armed with these two things, he's been able to pull off some incredible speculative moves that have been really high risk, high reward for him especially. But again, I think today this idea of reflexivity is so important. With more people joining the financial markets and trading and investing, they are largely moved by sentiments and again largely moved by price with no idea of the reflexive dynamics that are actually going on. They get misled into actually believing otherwise. So Soros would actually tell us to be incredibly conscious of these dynamics so that we can truly be rational in making our decisions.